Yes. So, hello everyone. Good evening and welcome back to the session. Welcome back to the YouTube channel of An Academy and myself, Toshiba Shukla. I'm here again live, this time with a different theme altogether because your results have been out, right? We have been waiting since a long time और ये वाले जो results आए हैं काफी इंतजार करवा के आए हैं जून में पेपर दिया फिर पेपर दिया फाइनली वी हैव रिजल्ट्स एंड द एंटायर प्रोसेस आई एम श्योर वाज वेरी एग्जॉस्टिंग फॉर ऑल ऑफ यू बट इस पूरे प्रोसेस के बाद जो अब रिजल्ट सामने आए हैं वो इतने बढ़िया हैं एंड वी हैव सीन ऑलरेडी द गुड न्यूज़ हैव बीन कमिंग इन कितने सारे स्टूडेंट्स का सिलेक्शन हुआ है लेकिन एक जो बोलना चाहिए कुछ ऐसी कहानियां होती हैं कुछ ऐसी स्टोरीज होती है जो खास होती हैं और इनको हम चाहते हैं कि ज्यादा तक स्टूडेंट्स तक पहुंचे क्योंकि बहुत से स्टूडेंट्स ऐसे हैं जो इस जर्नी में हैं लेकिन आई एम श्योर इस पूरी जर्नी में पढ़ाई करना पेपर देना फिर सिलेक्शन नहीं होना डीमोटिवेट हो जाते हैं विच इज वेरी ऑब्वियस राइट इट्स अ पार्ट एंड पार्सल ऑफ एनी एग्जामिनेशन तो आज मैं आपके लिए एक ऐसे इंसान को लेकर आई हूँ शख्सियत को लेकर आई हूँ जो आपको अपना एक्सपीरियंस बताएंगे एंड आई एम श्योर पढ़ाई तो हम करते ही हैं लेकिन पढ़ाई करने के बावजूद भी अगर सक्सेस ना मिले तो कैसे उस सक्सेस को यू कैन टर्न अराउंड एंड ऑफ कोर्स डूइंग मेनी अदर थिंग्स एज वेल यू कैन मेक श्योर कि आपका जो ड्रीम है आपको वो भी मिल जाए इवेंचुअली सो आई विल टेक दिस ऑनर ऑफ वेलकमिंग अभय जी हाय अभय welcome to the platform
Hello.
of Unacademy and firstly congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Yes, so students, I'm sure you're able to see me, and if you're listening me, first I will request you to once share the session with the friends, all the groups that you are a part of, right? ताकि सारे स्टूडेंट्स तक ये इन्फॉर्मेशन पहुंच जाए सबको पता चल जाए ये कितना इंस्पिरेशनल सेशन होने वाला है तो अभय जी की स्टोरी मैं तो कम बताऊंगी वो खुद आपको ज्यादा बताएंगे बट एज यू कैन सी फ्रॉम द थंबनेल एज वेल राइट ही इज फ्रॉम लॉ बैकग्राउंड एंड he has done his LLM and he happens to be a gold medalist as well. So वो professor भी हैं वो अपना institute so I have seen his Instagram page as well quite in a very fun creative way he tries to teach concept जो कि एक मेरे लिए भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है मुझे भी ऐसा लगता है बच्चों को ऐसे ही पढ़ाना चाहिए तो लॉ के स्टूडेंट्स आप बिल्कुल इनसे कनेक्ट हो सकते हैं तो ये पढ़ाते भी हैं पढ़ते भी हैं he qualified the examination in his fifth attempt so he will tell you the remaining story कि कैसे इन्होंने किया और प्लीज सर थोड़ा अपना इंट्रोडक्शन भी दीजिएगा बच्चों को so that they should be knowing about you.
Yeah, hello. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Abhay Singhal and I come from Kota, Rajasthan. It's a very small town, although very famous for its educational roots. But the educational roots goes for science students and biology students. In fact, in my family, I have a lot of IITs and a lot of doctors, and this is the first time somebody from my family has opted for law. But yeah, that was great. So I completed my graduation from University of Delhi between 2014 and 2017. Then I went to Pune for LLB and I did that between 2017 and 20. And then, like most of the law students, I also had planned for RGS, but then COVID happened. RGS did not happen for a very long time. But ultimately, when it did, I could not come. I could not cross it. And then between 2020 and 22, when COVID was at its highest, I started doing my LLM from University of Kota. And thankfully, I am really I really thank my stars for whatever happened because while I was in the university, generally what happens in the University of Kota is principals of private colleges they come and teach you at the university. At this one point, my jurisprudence teacher she asked me if you wanted to take maybe a CPC lecture for her students at her college, and then I agreed to it. And I never had planned for NET, so but then I went to teach them CPC a single session, and then it went well. And then I realized that all right, this could be something that I am interested in, which turned out pretty well for me. And then yeah, one correction: I gave NET 4 times. I got confused because I gave the fourth attempt twice because of what happened with NET exam. So I gave it, yeah, I gave it 4 times. 2024 June attempt was my last and final attempt, and thanks to you, I passed it. So yeah, that has been the journey so far. It's pretty fun.
That's nice. That's interesting. So you have been like you gave. I guess you tried for Rajasthan services as well, right? Okay. So I'm sure
Yes,
that's a lot of experience that comes along. So tell me about this journey. As in, you said it was your fourth attempt. So you started with, of course, first attempt, second attempt में भी हमको थोड़ा पता चलता है कि पेपर कैसा है. No one is like, people just say कि first attempt में हो गया, but actually first attempt में किसी का होता नहीं है. The first 2 attempts goes in understanding the subject, or even if you have understood the subject, then you happen to give the first attempt, तो हम technically उसको बोल सकते हैं first attempt में निकला है. तो what was your journey like? आपने पहले कैसे पढ़ा, and what were your mistakes in your previous attempt that you kind of rectified in this final attempt, as you said, और जिससे आपको लगा कि that was a major shift you did and you changed the entire, story?
So back in 22, like the December attempt in 22 was my first, and I did not know what net was. I did not know it was needed for you to be able to teach. So my teacher told me that. So the first attempt which I gave was a barely experimental attempt, and I wanted to figure it out what happens when you give net. What are the subjects? I did not even know the names of the subject while I was sitting there writing my paper. But then in 23, by the way, in 22, I was practicing advocate while I was doing my LLM because I used to have a lot of free time. But then in 23, I joined a private institution in Jaipur. And that's when I was recruited on one condition that, all right, we are taking you in because you had a good interview, but now you have to clear net. So I was like, all right, I will do it. So I sat for the 23 ka first attempt, but then I did not go through. And then coincidentally, what happened was, I think the cutoff that year was 202 marks for law in general category, and I had scored a 200, which was pretty sad. But then in 2023, December attempt, a few of my colleagues who are now assistant professors and now professors, one of her suggested to me that, hey, you know what, you should go to YouTube and maybe figure out Toshiba Shukla ma'am, because paper one is super important. I was like, all right, I'll give it a try. And then I did. And then again, the cutoff was 176 marks and I scored a 174. And then I decided, all right, Toshiba ma'am is not working for me. But then this time I came back home. I booked myself in a library, a self-study library. I would take my laptop, I would go there, and I would start studying for paper one, because this is where I think a huge difference was made. I used to focus on law a lot because I think a lot of students do that. They try to focus on paper two because paper two is bigger in nature. It's 200 marks, so people think that that's really important, which it is true. But then in the previous 2 attempts that I had given, I missed it by 1 mark. One question, 2 marks, and then I decided that, all right, this 1 mark I have to attain from paper one because paper two is not happening. I have prepared for RJS. I have been teaching law. I can't do it better anymore. So I decided that, all right, let's just stick to paper one. That's when I started working on my weak subjects, as against what was advised to me. I was told that, all right, whatever your stronger subject is, maybe focus more on that, and you could maybe snatch one more question in it. But I decided I will go the other way, and then I worked on my teaching aptitude. I worked on my research, and then I did the Indian logic, which is, I think, physically the most boring subject ever created. But I don't know how you managed to teach it so well, especially on YouTube. Like the 1 hour lectures, I would put them on 1.25. I do not recommend 1.25, by the way. Everybody should watch them at regular speed. And then this year, when the cutoff was 188, I thankfully scored a 192.
Wow.
So I was really happy about that. And then the day the net results came, I got super emotional and decided that I will let you know what happened to me. And thankfully, you responded, and this is where we are now.
That's so sweet.
Thank you
That's
so much.
amazing. So, I guess, the journey, whatever you are telling, I could figure that what the faculty, usually educators, says कि paper one is important. Paper one is the so-called kingmaker. कि paper two पे ध्यान मत दो, paper one पे भी दो. And most of the students यही गलती करते हैं कि आप लोग पेपर टू में इतने ऑब्सेस, ऑब्वियसली दैट इज फेयर एज वेल बिकॉज वो आपका सब्जेक्ट और आपको लगता है पेपर वन क्या ही है, हम पेपर टू से मैनेज कर लेंगे. बट ट्रस्ट मी, जो पूरा डिफरेंस आता है अभय जी के केस में भी हम देख सकते हैं, जब इन्होंने अपने उस फेयर को फेस किया जो हम सब कहीं ना कहीं अवॉइड करते हैं, देन दैट ऑल दैट मेड ऑल द डिफरेंस देयर. तो आप लोगों के लिए भी, आप जो भी दिसंबर एग्जामिनेशन के ये ट्राई करना चाह रहे हो, पढ़ाई कर रहे हो, if you are still fearing that maybe one logical reasoning subject or maybe research से डर लग रहा है या higher education से लग रहा है, so this is the right time because अभी अक्टूबर है, दिवाली फेस्टिविटीज के बीच में अभी फिर से आप बिजी हो जाओगे. अभी अपने फेयर को पकड़ के कंप्लीट कर लो, because I always suggest the students to have the psychology, the philosophy to eat that frog, right? First thing, first do the difficult subject, then go to the easy subject, because पहले वो डर खत्म हो जाएगा. अभय जी ने भी वही किया, and I'm sure अगर आपका भी ऐसा कोई सब्जेक्ट है वही आपकी नैया को पार लगाएगा, वो कुछ भी हो सकता है. तो प्लीज दिसंबर के लिए भी अगर आप तैयारी कर रहे हो तो ऐसे करिएगा. सर ने बताया उनको लॉजिकल रीजनिंग था या जो भी XYZ सब्जेक्ट था, रिसर्च था, ही वर्कड ऑन दैट, so you should be better working on that as well, right? So that's one suggestion. Thank you so much. Students will benefit out of it, because बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि लास्ट में 2-3 अटेम्प्ट के बाद रियलाइज होता है कि नहीं, वो भी कर लेना चाहिए था. Okay, thank you so much. So my second question would be, जो आपके वीक सब्जेक्ट्स थे, वीक तो नहीं बोलूंगी, मतलब ठीक है, मे बी यू डिडंट स्टडी देम प्रॉपर्ली एंड यू थॉट हो जाएगा, तो व्हाट वर दोस, लाइक लॉजिकल रीजनिंग यू मेंशन्ड वन, एंड द अदर सब्जेक्ट, एंड व्हाट एग्जैक्टली यू डिड यू सॉल्व PYQ, डिड यू सॉल्व द थ्योरी फॉर दैट, या आपने जैसे आपने बताया मैराथन आप सुनते थे, तो एक ओवरऑल स्ट्रैटेजी क्या थी उन सब्जेक्ट्स के लिए?
So ma'am, as we know that there are 10 units in paper 1, and then I think the most feared for me was environment. But because I also come from law background, so this might sound like a hypocrisy. I should know environmental law, but I am really bad at that. But I decided that all right, let's give it a try. So when I started watching your subjects, watching your videos on the specific subjects, I think I mean, it's you, so you know, but you are very used to giving too much efforts on things that, in your opinion, you think that would repeat again and again. So in the paper that happened in June, then got cancelled and happened again in September, there was this one question which I actually pinpoint as the question which got me the passing marks, was the one on SDGs and MDGs. I always had a confusion on them. I would get confused with the SDGs and I would mix them up with MDGs. So because it's been about a month since we did that, so I will get confused again. But that's what I focused on. So yeah, I think PYQs super important. I would never listen to people who would say PYQs, but now that I have experienced it firsthand, I think PYQs are super important. One more thing that I would like to add is, because students like me who are like कि नहीं मुझे आता है मैं अपने हिसाब से कर लूँगा, what we do is we think that all right, PYQs तो कभी भी repeat होंगे ही नहीं ना, कोई verbatim थोड़ी कोई पुराना question उठा के दे देगा, so I don't want to study that.
Exactly.
But that's not right. You don't do that. You read the PYQs and then maybe you give some more time to PYQs. So what I did in 2023 was watch a bunch of videos which were discussing PYQs. So let's say if there was a question that all right, how many goals were there in are there in SDGs? And then I would and the person who was on the YouTube, he would say that all right, these many goals. Now I will just skip through it. But what we did, what you did on your YouTube videos, were you discussed all the 4 options. That all right, this is the correct option, but the rest of the 3 options, they come from this specific field. Now this helps in the forthcoming exams, rather than that just specific question which will never repeat.
Exactly.
So I think PYQs and marathons worked for me, but everybody would have their own strategies. So yeah.
No. That's actually a very perfect strategy, because जब भी questions we solve on YouTube as well or on app as well, यही करते हैं कि सही आंसर बताना तो ठीक है, बट जो गलत आंसर है उसके बारे में भी बताना. सो आई ऑलवेज से दिस टू माय स्टूडेंट्स कि ये एक क्वेश्चन नहीं है, ये कम से कम 4-5 क्वेश्चंस एक क्वेश्चन से निकल कर आ रहे हैं, बिकॉज यू नो द करेक्ट आंसर, बट व्हाट हाउ दीज वर रॉन्ग, सो मे बी वो कहीं और पूछ लेंगे. सो से SDG MDG ऑफ कोर्स वी हैव स्टडीड फ्रॉम द स्टोरीज एंड येट वी आर कंफ्यूज्ड बिकॉज दे गेट मिक्स्ड अप. So ऐसे बहुत से टॉपिक्स हैं जो सर ने बोला. I don't know why I'm feeling this urge to call you sir, because maybe you are my student, but since you are teaching and since you are already having this passion for teaching, so I will be addressing you as sir only. तो जैसे सर ने बोला कि PYQs बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, और जो नहीं ऑप्शंस गलत हैं उनसे भी रिलेटेड आप पढ़िएगा, क्योंकि मान लीजिए अगर SGD 5, 6, 7, 8 उसमें दिया है, 11 आंसर है, तो 5, 6, 7 कौन से हैं, तो इससे आपका कल को कोई क्वेश्चन पूछेंगे तो वो आपका पक्का हो जाएगा. सेम गोज विद NEP एज वेल. मान लीजिए आप नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी पढ़ रहे हैं, तो उसमें कुछ पूछा, कुछ फिगर्स पूछ लिए, 35%, 25%, गलत आंसर ठीक है, but you can actually study more things from that. That's a very perfect strategy. और I think that you should be solving PYQs. all the students, अभी आपको ऐसा लग रहा है कि मैम many students message me कि मैम कुछ फटाक से बता दो, अभी 2 महीने में हम क्या कर दें, तो ऐसा बहुत ही क्विक घोल तो नहीं पिला सकते हैं, but yes, one thing that I would suggest, अभी से PYQs लगाओ जो हम सॉल्व करवा रहे हैं आपको YouTube पे, ऐप पे, उसको सॉल्व करिए। जैसे अभी मैंने स्पेशल क्लास में क्वेश्चंस लिए, देयर वर 25-22 क्वेश्चंस, बट दे वर वेरी टफ एनवायरमेंट क्वेश्चंस। सो ऐसे करके यू विल बिल्ड ऑन योर कॉन्सेप्ट्स। मतलब एक बार में ऐसा नहीं होता कि पूरी थ्योरी बुक रट ली, नो, यू विल नॉट क्वालिफाई योर एग्जामिनेशन दिस वे। it happens in stages and it's a process, right? So yes, that's something. Thank you so much Abhay for telling us this कि कैसे आपने इसको strong किया. So paper 2 आपने बताया, I have like observed like in past experiences कि law में भी काफी environment के questions आते हैं, जैसे पिछले कुछ I guess environment law is a part then they many students message me कि मैम ये पेपर 1 में पढ़ा था लेकिन पेपर 2 में भी इससे काम आ गया. So I guess थोड़ा सा आपको क्रेडिट वहां पे भी देना चाहिए लॉ में कि कहीं ना कहीं काम आया होगा आपको.
बिल्कुल मैम, डेफिनेटली लॉ में एज यू नो देयर इज वन होल यूनिट डेडिकेटेड टू एनवायरमेंटल लॉ, humanitarian rights, and then that is also it's okay, let's not call it very difficult, but it's super dry. So when we are studying blood relations, it's always fun because I would, like everybody would do, I would connect it to my own family tree and then blood relations would be super easy. But then subjects like environment, human rights, UDHR, all these subjects are super dry in nature, and then I have tried my level best to make them interesting, but it does not happen. But again, like if you focus on paper 1 ka environment, it kind of opens the doors for you in law in the environmental unit. So it helped me for both the things, for paper 2 unit 10 and for paper 1 unit 10, not 10, I think it's 9, and for paper 1 environmental unit as well.
Okay, okay. Even I get confused. इतने साल पढ़ाने के बाद भी okay 10, 9, हाँ. So it is not relevant here. But yeah, so one thing I would ask you to tell the students, क्योंकि आप शायद पढ़ा रहे थे. You are a working professional. So how did you manage your time? मतलब while you were, जैसे आपने बोला लाइब्रेरी ज्वाइन की, वो तो आपने बाद में किया, पर जब आप पढ़ा रहे थे तब भी आई एम श्योर आप पढ़ते होगे, तो कितने घंटे पढ़ते थे? ये बहुत ही मुझे सबसे ज्यादा वैसे तो बहुत यूजलेस क्वेश्चन लगता है कि मैम 4 घंटे पढ़े, 6 घंटे पढ़े, लेकिन स्टिल व्हाट शुड बी द टाइम दैट स्टूडेंट शुड बी डेडिकेटिंग? क्योंकि जनरली बच्चे यही पूछते हैं जो जॉब कर रहे हैं और आपने बिना जॉब के भी पढ़ाई करी, तो दोनों में डिफरेंस कितना आया? जब आप लाइब्रेरी में बैठ के पढ़ रहे थे तो आप कितने घंटे पढ़ते थे, और जब आप पढ़ाते थे तो आप कितने घंटे आपकी पढ़ाई होती थी? सो कैन यू जस्ट हैव अ just kind of a reflection on that as well?
So, ma'am, teaching never had I never had an issue with teaching because I selected all the subjects which were a part of NET. So, like for example, I was teaching law of tort, PIL, international law. All of these are subjects in law, so that was amazing for me. So every preparation that I would do to deliver a lecture on the next day, it would essentially help me prepare for NET. Now, all I had to do was manage my time for paper 1, which was also fairly easy. I like it's like I have just cleared NET after failing thrice, so I don't know if I should say it, but I don't think a lot of hours matter. I think smart studies matter here. And I think that's what they're trying to test you for. You're gonna become an assistant professor. They're not gonna give you all the subjects. They are just checking, can you handle pressure well? And then I think to do that, all you need to do is just handle your time well, manage your time well. So maybe if you give it, I don't think I gave it more than 2 to 3 years. I had a fun time in Jaipur. Lekin, I made sure that I would give some assigned time to previous year questions without any break, even on Sundays, even on holidays. And then I would make sure that I would solve some questions and maybe watch one video. That's it. That's what I would do. But after that, when I came back home and when I said that I joined the library, उस time पे I had to focus a lot on both the paper 2 and paper 1. But to be very honest, I had also joined the library to prepare for RJS because वो exam भी around the time ही था. So that's how I was dividing the time.
Okay. That's nice. So मतलब हाँ, obviously library and something, any examination related to civils go hand in hand. तो वैसे भी बहुत से स्टूडेंट्स, आप लोग भी यहाँ पे जो बैठे हो, बहुत से बच्चे लाइब्रेरी में पढ़ते हैं. इट्स जस्ट कि आप टाइम ज्यादा मैनेज कर पाते हो. घर पे डिस्ट्रैक्शंस होते हैं, घर पे आप मोबाइल चला लेते हो, घर पे आप बैठ के पढ़ रहे हो, फिर भूख भी लग जाती है. सो देयर आर सो मेनी डिस्ट्रैक्शंस. पर्सनली इवन आई फील दैट इफ यू sit dedicatedly, even if it's for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, वो आपका एफिशिएंसी ज्यादा होती है. तो आप ये करा करिए बिकॉज अभी क्योंकि जो बहुत कम टाइम बचा है, अभी हम दिसंबर को फोकस कर रहे हैं, हम अगले साइकिल की बात ही नहीं कर रहे हैं, तो अभी आपके पास सही में बहुत कम टाइम है. 2 से 3 महीने, 2.5 महीने हैं utilize your time very efficiently, even if it's your first attempt or you are giving multiple attempts. तो अभी सबसे important है time management, और पेपर 2 और पेपर 1 दोनों important है, right? जैसे कि इन्होंने भी बोला कि अगर आपका फेवरेट है पेपर 2, but do not do that, पेपर 1 पे भी ध्यान दीजिए. Okay, so I guess we have taken a lot many suggestions from you, sir. Any one tip that you would love to give the students जो उनको आपको ऐसा लगता है कि करना चाहिए, because I see you run an Instagram page and you try to educate students in a different way as well, थोड़ा creative. तो क्या notes वगैरह बनाने में या कैसे याद करने में क्या आपको ऐसा लगता है, कुछ ऐसा आप टिप देना चाहते हैं?
Yes, I do actually, and this might not work very well for me. Do not rely on ma'am's PPTs. Like, you make PPTs and then they are great, but that is when we are watching your videos. But once that's done, and then I decide that, all right, I'm not gonna work hard on it. Ma'am has done all the hard work. I'll just reread the PPTs again. That's not how it's gonna work. Uh, like, that will work for PYQs, but that's not gonna work for you until and unless you do not write the stuff on your own. So, for example, sometimes when you're being lazy and you're trying to solve DI questions, and then you try to solve it in your minds, and because you're going through a marathon, the teacher is solving it for you, but you're thinking, all right, I know this, I know this, I know this. So that's not how it works. So all the hard work that you do, that should not be passed off to us as students. If we are watching the videos, we have to work equally hard. Not equally hard, of course, harder than you, because you've already reached there. It's our time to work hard now. So yeah, that's what I would suggest. Ki, just do not try to pass off your hard work for yourself.
True. मतलब that's very important as well कि many times the laziness creeps in, और हमको ऐसा लगता है कि ठीक है हम सुन रहे हैं, हम relate कर रहे हैं, especially maths में ऐसा होता है, solve कर लिया मन में, but ऐसा नहीं है. Always sit with a pen and a paper. And what I believe is, like, use your creativity, bring it on. जो भी आपको करना है, mind maps बनाने हैं, short notes बनाने हैं, always do them, because video will not always be with you. What will be with you are your maybe small sticky notes or whatever short notes you have jotted down, क्योंकि वही काम आते हैं, वही आपको रहेगा. कई बार टीचर की आवाज आपके कान में गूंजेगी, but not exactly will be there, right? So you have to have something substantial, and that old school, I totally believe that कि जो आपका पुराना तरीका है, हम नोट्स बनाते हैं, कहीं ना कहीं जब तक पेन कॉपी लेके नहीं बैठोगे, वो खुद में भी मजा नहीं आता कि हम पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं, बिकॉज ऑनलाइन वर्ल्ड हैज मेड अस मोर लेजी, राइट? कि ठीक है, चल रहा है, वीडियो चल रहा है, बट डू नॉट फॉरगेट कि नोट्स आर इक्वली इंपॉर्टेंट. जैसे कि वे ऑलरेडी डिस्कस PYQs, आपको ये सारी चीजें पता है, लेकिन जब आप किसी ऐसे व्यक्ति से सुनते हो जिन्होंने खुद प्रैक्टिकली किया है या उन्होंने एक्सपीरियंस किया है कि पहले ये नहीं कर रहे थे, आप कर रहे हैं, तो आपको समझ में आता है कि हाँ, ये अंतर आप भी अपनी प्रिपरेशन में ला सकते हो, जिससे शायद इस बार तक नहीं हो पा रहा है. अभी भी जितने भी मेरे पास मैसेजेस आ रहे हैं वो यही आ रहे हैं कि मैम 1 क्वेश्चन से रह गया, 2 क्वेश्चन से रह गया. जब इतने क्लोज आप जा रहे हो तो दैट मीन्स आप में कोई कमी नहीं है. इट्स जस्ट मैटर ऑफ फ्यू थिंग्स दैट यू माइट बी मिसिंग ऑन, जो कि इस बार हम नहीं करेंगे. जैसे कि he also made sure he was teaching, he was doing things, but still again he didn't give up. ऐसा नहीं है कि नहीं ये मेरे लिए नहीं बना है, मैं तो कुछ और करता हूँ, चलो ये कर लेता हूँ, but नहीं, he gave again, and that was his 4th attempt as he mentioned, and he qualified, right? So that is something very inspirational. So I hope you all have, like, you know, many takeaways from this talk. काफी सारा आपने सीखा होगा. पढ़ाई तो कर ही रहे हो, लेकिन one thing that will make you qualify the examination is that motivation. And I can see how calm a person you are, Abhay. I'm sure you must be taking this calmness to the examination hall as well, because ये जो nervousness और anxiety होती है, काफी चीजें खराब कर देती है. तो that is again a very important trait जो कि students aspirants में होना चाहिए, कि इतना पढ़ने के बाद भी एग्जामिनेशन हॉल में जाके आपको कामनेस रखनी है, आपको एंजाइटी नहीं अपने पे ओवरशैडो करने देनी है. यू हैव टू बी वेरी सिस्टमैटिक इन योर अप्रोच व्हाइल यू सॉल्व क्वेश्चंस. आई एम श्योर एनटीए किसी का दुश्मन नहीं है. जब आप लंबे क्वेश्चंस देखते हो तो उनसे घबराने की बजाय यू जस्ट फेस देम and try to eliminate and then give the answer. आराम से questions होते हैं. So that वो बाद में आएगा. फिलहाल तो अभी हमें result देखा है. Practice करिए, उसके बारे में हम और discuss करेंगे in the later videos. So I hope if you have any other doubt, you can of course ask me in the comment section बाद में. And of course law से related है तो आप सर से contact करिएगा. Paper 2 उनका है, वो पढ़ाते भी हैं, पता नहीं TOTS and all. तो काफी सारा आपको उससे शायद help मिल जाएगा. But thank you so much. It was very informational and it was very motivational. And thank you, Abhay. And again, congratulations for this amazing, you know, the what you have attained, and I'm sure you deserve it, because वो मेहनत कभी ना कभी बाद में रंग लाती है. आपने कब से आप पढ़ाई कर रहे हो, आप पढ़ा रहे हो, तो already you are a knowledgeable person. So paper 2 तो था ही आपका strong, paper 1 में आपने थोड़ा सा effort डाला, so we saw the result. So thank you so much.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I'm so sorry to disturb you, but you
Please,
mentioned
please, I'm done
about
anyway.
calmness. I really wanted to add an anecdote what happened with me this year on the paper, like this attempt, this specific attempt, because you mentioned that NTA किसी का दुश्मन नहीं है. This time what happened was my system crashed in the middle of the paper. That's when I lost it, and that's when I started थोड़ा सा like I got angrier, because this time I was like I decided that all right, let's just give it one more time, and then maybe we'll decide if we want to do it again. And then the system crashes at, I think, when 2.5 hours were remaining. So although I had a lot of time on me, but then this smoothness that I had approached, like, all went to waste. But then it's okay. I decided that let's stay calm, and let's not do anything rash right now. Once we leave this exam center, and once we make sure that our paper is submitted and these people cannot do anything to you, that's when we'll think
Right.
about it.
Right.
So yeah, that is something that I wanted to share with everybody. That in case somebody feels something like this or faces something like this, I think all they need to do is just keep calm. So keeping calm is super important. I forgot about it. Just thank you for mentioning that.
That's true.
Yeah.
I can actually, I mean, while I'm interacting with you, the first thing, the characteristic sketch of what I can, get from your entire talks, that you are a very calm person. And ये एक बहुत important quality होती है लाइफ की हर सिचुएशन में, पेपर में तो खास तौर पे. और जैसे कि इन्होंने बताया सिस्टम क्रैश हो गया, तो मुझे लगता है आधे बच्चे तो वहीं पे घबरा जाएंगे कि क्रैश हो गया, अब क्या करें एंड ऑल दैट, बिकॉज वी सी इन द टेलीग्राम ग्रुप्स एज वेल, स्टूडेंट्स लूज very quickly, right? So that is one important quality जो हमको शायद इस process में हम ये भी अपने आप को सिखा सकते हैं कि आप प्रोफेसर्स बनोगे, रिसर्चर्स, स्कॉलर्स बनोगे, तो you have to have that cool कि ठीक है देखेंगे. तो I guess फिर आपका सिस्टम ठीक हो गया था, मतलब you were able to complete your
They
examination.
no, ma'am, they had to replace my system. So
Oh,
so in the same room, but then they gave me another system. Then I had to log in again and everything. But then it got resumed from the exact point I had. It got crashed. So
got
that was
that.
not true for me. I did
And
not have
this,
to do all the questions again.
okay, and this was the attempt where you qualified this
Yes,
time.
this was the attempt.
सी
Yes.
मतलब देखिए ऐसा होता है, बोलते हैं ना कि जब इतना सारा कुछ हो रहा है, पेपर कैंसिल हो रहा है, फिर सिस्टम क्रैश हो रहा है, फिर दोबारा से री एग्जाम हो रहा है, तब भी सफलता मिल जाती है. तो यही है कि होता रहता है लाइफ में ऐसा, डू नॉट वरी. सो थैंक यू सो मच अभय. इट वाज अ वेरी इंसाइटफुल सेशन एंड आई एम श्योर काफी बच्चों ने काफी कुछ इससे गेन किया होगा. एंड विश यू ऑल द बेस्ट एंड सक्सेस इन योर फ्यूचर एंडेवर्स एज वेल. ऑल द बेस्ट. टेक केयर. थैंक यू
Thank
सो
you
मच
very much,
स्टूडेंट्स फॉर
ma'am.
ज्वाइनिंग. आपको कुछ भी ऐसा, दिस वाज मोर लाइक अ मोटिवेशनल टॉक. अगर आपको ऐसा लगता है कुछ और आपको पूछना है, यू वांट टू ऐड, यू वांट टू आस्क समथिंग फ्रॉम लॉ एज वेल, यू कैन शूट योर क्वेश्चंस इन द कमेंट सेक्शन एज वेल. हम ऐसे ही आपके लिए और इंस्पिरेशनल स्टोरीज लेकर आते रहेंगे. टिल देन stay cool, stay calm and keep on studying. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.